Why? First responder till I'm not saying after this number no. Yancha Adonai v'yem Zara Yisrael Hashem Eloheya. Yisrael Ezra Mekedesh u'Metzion Yisraeleka. Yizker Kodem Pesecha v'Eloscha Yidash Zela Yitin Lecha V'Levecha V'Latzoscha Yimalin V'Ranra V'Shua Secha V'Shem Eloheinu Nidger Yimali Adonai Kol Mishal Yisecha Ata Yudaiti Yeshia Adonai Meshicha Yanehu Mishmei Torche Figures Yesha Yeminei Eila Varechev Leila Vasusim Anachnu B'Shem Adonai Eloheinu Nazkir Hema Paru V'Napogu Anachnu Kamdu V'Segel Adonai Yeshia Abel Yameinu V'Yem Kareinu. It's a pushki here, but there aren't any coins. I'll put in, and you might see everybody here. Supposed to be telling them about Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shahako niyah v'glory. There you go. So we're doing the Maimer Micha Meicha, Rebbe Marash. We're using the text, it's called True Existence, and we are on page 29. In yesterday's shir, he explained the difference between believing and between not worshipping Avda Zara and Shituf. Avda Zara, idol worship, is something which is prohibited, of course, for you, but also for non-Jews. Adam Arishan was already commanded not to do Avda Zara, and it's one of the 7 mitzvahs of Bnei Noach. What is Shituf? Shituf means to believe, yes, that Hashem is the creator of the universe, but he created certain forces, and these forces, they're sort of partners with Hashem in doing things. Doesn't mean chas v'shalom that they have any power over Hashem, but he uses the example of parents. Parents also called partners with Hashem in creating a child, and therefore we have to honor the parents. So there's a way of looking at the world that Hashem created this infrastructure of malachim, angel for fire, an angel for water, an angel for one thing, an angel for another thing. Hashem is the super one in control. And the angels, it does it through them, like a king who does things through his ministers. And he wants people to honor the ministers. And to realize that everything they have, their power is from Hashem. So for a non-Jew to believe that, we'll soon also understand more specifically what that means. To believe that is permissible. But even though Avda Zara is not permissible. For a Yid, there are 2 psukim in the Torah, which is the source. The pasuk, Anechi Hashem Elokecha, that's in Aseres HaDibros, that's the source to believe in Hashem and not to worship idols. You shouldn't have any other gods. Don't worship any other gods. The pasuk Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, Hashem is one, means there are no partners, there's nothing else exists other than Hashem. Like the Rambam explains, there's nothing else that exists in a true way other than Hashem, because everybody is dependent on Hashem. But Hashem is dependent on nothing and no one else. Now he continues to explain this further. Page 29. To understand this further, this mitzvah, which is to recognize that Hashem is one, there's a question here. If it would have said Hashem Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Yochid, that would be more suitable. That would indicate that Avdus Yosef, more unity. Why? Ki echad yesh gam echad hamoni. When you use the term echad in Hebrew, it can also be used as a numeric one. What does numeric one mean? That when you have a number of things, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the number one means one amongst many. Yachid means exclusive. There's only one thing here. Like an only child is called a ben yachid, the only child. Bas yechida, the only daughter. You don't say echad, because a person can have 10 children, and this is one of their 10 children. Derech Mashal, Shifti Yisrael, the tribes of Israel. Yud Beis, 12 tribes. Nikra Echad Mehem B'Shem Echad. Each tribe is called Echad, because like it says, Shilchu Mikem Echad, send one of you, meaning one of your tribes. One of your brothers. Agam Sheni or Shlishi, although there's a second tribe and a third tribe. Nevertheless, you can use the word echad. It means one of this group. Or another example, when Hashem created the world in 6 days. Yamim. What is the first day called? Echad. So this is called a numerical one. It's a number one of a series of numbers. Is that what you need? Echad Hamon. Mashi Efshe Chas V'Shalom Loima came by the course. You can't say this about Hashem. It's not Hashem is one of many. He's one and the only one. If that's the case, Hashem Yochid, if we would have said Hashem Yochid, wouldn't that be a much stronger statement expressing the unity of Hashem than saying Echad? One should look in Torah or the Maimon begins with the word Va'era, and you'll see more details there. Being that this pasuk that teaches us that Hashem is one, He's the only one, nothing else exists besides Him, comes out of this pasuk, and the Torah chooses dafka to use the term echad. We must say that by using the term echad, this expresses more Hashem's unity than the word yachid. How is it? How could echad express more unity than yachid when echad could be one of many, and yachid means one and only? Our sages say, when we acknowledge Hashem's kingdom, that He's the king up there, He's the king down here, He's the king in all 4 directions, the north, the south, the east, and the west. We don't have to declare anything else. This covers everything. And this is hinted in the word echad. Echad is spelled Aleph, Ches, Dalet. Aches, Remes, L'Zayin, Rakim, Veretz. There are 7 heavens. When we say 7 heavens, by the way, we're not talking about the worlds, the spiritual worlds. Atzilus, Bria, Etzira. These are spiritual worlds. 7 heavens are in the physical world, which means when you look up and you see the heaven, you see space. So according to Torah, there are 7 sort of, I would say, distances. One till a certain point is called the first heaven. Second point is called the second heaven. The third, and there's 7 heavens. So 7 heavens, that's up. The earth is down altogether. It's 8. That's the Ches. Daled, the letter Daled, which is number 4, Rem is the Daled of Chaselim. That alludes to the 4 directions: north, east, south, and west. And Aleph is Hashem. So that means that Hagam is how was although Hashem created 7 heavens and the earth, although He created the 4 directions of north, east, south, and west in Kozeh, in the Telem, the Tachlis, the Klinis Aleph. They're all bottled to the Aleph. So basically, what he's saying is, here's the answer, and then he has to explain it. The answer is, if Hashem wouldn't create the world, and you would say Hashem is the only one that exists, okay? That means He's the only one that's true, the only one that exists. He always was, He always is, He always will be. Here we're saying something deeper than that. Even after Hashem created a world, and the world is basically the 7 heavens and the earth and the 4 directions, which means a Gashmic world, a 3-dimensional world. Nevertheless, Hashem is still one, just like He was one before. And that's a deeper understanding of Hashem's oneness than just saying that He's the only one, saying that nothing else exists. They do exist. He created them. So there is a heaven, there's an earth, there's 7 heavens, there's 4 directions. And nevertheless, Hashem's oneness hasn't changed. That's a bigger finish. That's something which is much deeper. The only question is, how does it make sense? How can you say He's only one if you acknowledge that He created a world? And that's what He's going to explain. I think I once mentioned this, but maybe that was last year. There was a chassid that he said, before I studied chassidus, I was always thinking about Hashem. After I started to study chassidus, I'm always thinking about myself. He said, you probably meant to say the opposite, right? But no, I said exactly what I meant to say. How does that make sense? He says, before I started to study chassidus, I had no doubt that I exist. I was thinking about Hashem. You prove it this way, you prove it that way, you think about it, don't think about it. Now, after I have no doubt that Hashem exists, but do I exist? Am I real? Am I not real? Hashem is one, so I am a mitzvah, not a mitzvah. I'm always thinking about myself. I mean, there are some theories that the whole world is sort of a figment of an imagination. It's not according to Torah. Torah is real. Torah is emes. We learned yesterday, gracious, bara, elokim. So the Torah is real. And Hashem created a world. How could it be that the Torah acknowledges that Hashem created a world and at the same time says nothing changed and Hashem is exclusive, unique oneness? He's one now, like He was one before creation. But that's a much deeper thought than just saying He's one and nothing else exists. Now, even if you don't say it's a figment, but you can say the world is insignificant, doesn't count. But I'm saying there is a world and it's still one with Hashem. Nothing else exists other than Hashem. How can we bring this closer to our understanding? What does it mean that the world is totally bottled to Hashem? I don't know, they always translate bottle in English as nullified. Maybe I don't know English, but to me, nullified sounds like doesn't exist, destroyed. No, isn't it a term of like nullify something is to destroy? This is not destroying. Really, it means that the whole world is bottle, meaning it becomes it is part of something higher and greater than itself. And the independence, maybe, the sense of independence is nullified. That doesn't exist. But what does it mean? Now he goes to another medrash called Pirkei Rabbi Elazar. Let's understand what it says here. It says in Pirkei Rabbi Elazar, Haaretz Me'echen Nivras. Where did Hashem create the earth from? What's the source? That's the question. The answer is even better than the question. Nivras Misheli Tachas Kisiak Pavim. The earth was created from the snow that's under Hashem's throne. How's that? The upper Shabbat, there's earth under the throne, Nasa Eretz. That's how the earth became. Tishrei Shabbat, from the pebbles that are under the throne, Nasa Harim. That's how the mountains became. Shenema ki Hashem Omar Hevi Aretz. The pasuk Hashem said to the snow, "Become earth." So basically, under Hashem's throne, I wonder who cleans up over there. But under the throne, there's earth, and there is snow, and from the earth is the earth in our world, and from the pebbles comes the mountains, snow. What kind of question is this? Ma'ach Kira, what kind of question is this? Eretz Meicha Nevras. What was it created from? Halohi Nevras, page 33. The Ayin Liyesh, the world is Ayin Liyesh. The world is nothing into something. Nothing existed before. Even the Chayker, the philosophers, when he says philosophers, he's not talking about Greek philosophers, Lahavdil. There are certain, most of the great sages in the earlier generations, they were mainly invested in Torah, Halacha, and so on. But there were a number of them that also wrote books on understanding Hashem and creation. And they're called Chaykim, philosophers. Talking about tzaddikim, like the Rambam wrote a book known, it's called Mar Nevuchim, the Guide to the Perplexed. The Sajid Gaon wrote a book, and others. So when it says philosophers here, in this mimer, we're talking about sages that are philosophers. Even these philosophers also recognize that the world is yesh mi'ayin. As it says in a sign that sheniva davar milei davar. So what's the question? Meicha nevras. It came out of nowhere, nothing. Now there's something similar in the Medrash. By the way, Pirkei Rabbi Elazar means the teachings of Rabbi Elazar. Then there's another sefer called the Medrash. Yes, it's a similar question. Where does light come from? And what's the answer? The Eibush has a talus. The talus is white talus. And when you put on this white talus, Hivit Ziv Hadorim. There was a brilliant light that was shining, and that's where light came from. Okay, now we know the answer.
Are these
What?
are these metaphors? So they
Of course, yeah. That's what he's going to explain.
Thank you.
But even as a metaphor, we need to understand if everything is yesh mi'ayin, if everything is something from nothing, then why do you have to look for where it's coming from? It's from nothing. Canal, Ma Sheila, what's the question? When Hashem said, Ye earth, the first day of creation, that's when it began to exist. Before that, there was nothing there, zero, zilch. And then Hashem said, Ye earth became light. Why am I looking for where is it coming from? In other words, when a human being does something, a human being builds a house. You can ask a question, where did you get the wood from? Where did you get the materials from? But Hashem, there's no question. Everything was created yesh mi'ayin. All the materials were created yesh mi'ayin. That's what yesh mi'ayin means. That before creation, there wasn't any raw material. Hashem took that and made a world. There was nothing, and Hashem created something. Every single thing, every single detail of the Gashmis and the Royim has a source. Very often in Chassidus, whenever it talks about a source, it uses two terms, Sherish and Mokar. Sherish means roots, and Mokar means a source. And they're strong, they go into the difference between the two terms. But just like a tree has roots in the ground, so even though the tree is huge, many branches, many fruits, it goes very high, but there's roots, that's where it comes from. Everything in the physical world has roots in the spiritual world. Like our sages say, there isn't even a blade of grass. We're not talking about huge creations, like the ocean. A blade of grass, one little piece of grass, also has mazel mumayla, has a source up there, which is a malach, and that source commands and says, grow, and that's how the grass grows. And he explains, in amalu, sheirish umokar hadesha. You don't really need this sheet, but I'm just giving it because it still makes it a little bit more visual than without a sheet. Also, I want to give David something to do, so exercise. Thank you. Now that you can Baruch Hashem walk around on your foot, so you exercise. Yes.
It does actually like
Of course, it's a mushroom, it's a metaphor. Yeah.
Why is this going?
Later in the minor, you can explain it, right? But this is called what we call Seder Ishtalshlus. Seder Ishtalshlus, translated, means the order of the chain of evolution. So not the evolution that Darwin talks about, Lahavdil, but the evolution of the spiritual worlds. So everyone knows that there are 10 spheres in Atzilus. There are 10 spheres in Bria. There are 10 spheres in Yitzira, and 10 spheres in Asiya, and there are also 10 spheres in our physical world. But it's not just that Hashem created 4 worlds and put in each one 10 things. The 10 spheres in Bria, they come from the 10 spheres in Atzilus, right? Which means each sphere descends, and that's how we have 10 spheres in Bria. Then the 10 spheres in Bria, they descend further. That's how we have 10 spheres in Yetzirah. Then they descend further. That's how we have 10 spheres in Asiyah. So that's basic knowledge of how the spiritual world works. What he's adding here now, which is of course based on this, not just the spheres. Every detail in this physical world, you look out the window, look outside, and you see trees, and you see earth, and you see humans, and you see animals, and you see cars, and you see everything you see, every detail is also found in all these 4 worlds. And everything that exists in this physical world originates in the world before it, and the world before it originates in the world before it, and the world before it in the world before it. So everything has a source. And that's what it means that every blade of grass has an angel. In a mazel the source of the angel that grows, the source of the grass that grows, lamata achagavoya mal gavoya, one is higher than the other. There's 3 different terms found in the Torah where it talks about grass. Sometimes desha, sometimes esav, sometimes chotzir. And the Zara explains these are 3 different kinds of angels. And they're all sources for different things of grass here in this world. And that's how the Zara explains the pasuk, Matzmiach chotzir l'behemoth, v'esav l'aveidas haaretz. So to make life easier, I put this, I think I did, just so you can see where the pasuk is in the booklet here. It's on in pasuk in, we actually say this in davening. Maybe not this pasuk, let me just see. Yeah, it's in davening. We say on Rosh Chodesh. We'll be saying it this week. Page 46. This is the famous Kapitel Tilman, which starts with the word Baruch Hashem. David HaMelech is talking about how beautiful of a world Hashem created. While we're at it, I'll tell you a little story. I don't know if you were in 770 on Shabbos. You were there. Did you notice that the Gabbai put on the Strymon? No. I don't know if you saw. Anyway, there was a custom that the Rebbe instituted. As we know, in every shul, on the beginning of the year, they sell the mitzvahs, which means who's going to get the honor to open the Torah, the Aron Kodesh? Who's going to get the honor to hold the Torah when it comes to Kol Nidrin? Who's going to get the honor to bring the Torah in, bring the Torah out? All these things, whoever gives the most tzedakah for the shul will get that honor. So it's like an auction. The gabbai of the shul is the one who does it. And they used to do it by the bring it in the Rebbe's presence. For some reason or other, the Rebbe would tell the gabbai, he should put on a shtreimel to show that this is an important function. People should respect what he's doing, and he should say it Dvar Torah. Now, no gabbai is going to say Dvar Torah in the Rebbe's presence, so he always would tell a story. And this happened 2 times a year. Once on Shabbos Beishis, the other time was Shabbos Parsha Mishpatim. Shabbos Parsha Mishpatim, we have the mitzvah of giving people a loan, a free loan, without interest. So there used to be one free loan organization here years ago, in the times of the previous Rabbi yet. It was run by somebody called Rabbi Gordon. Everyone knows the famous Rabbi Gordon, who teaches Chitas online. This was his grandfather. And he would also, once a year, put on a shtreimel, and the Rebbe wanted him to invite everyone for the fundraiser for this, giving free loans, and he would tell a story. So one time he told this story. The Baal Shem Tov would often send his students to simple Jews. He would send students who were big tzaddikim, giants, but he would send them to simple Jews to learn something from them. So one time he sent someone to a simple man who used to teach children, little children, siddur, aleph beis, simple things. So one time he sent him to a teacher, and he was teaching the children this chapter Tehillim. Look what it says. Let's read from the top of the page. It makes grass grow for the cattle. Vegetation requires the labor of man. Then it goes on to say, earth, food from the earth, wine that gladdens the heart, oil that makes the face shine, bread that sustains the man's heart. Trees bring their full, the cedar of Lebanon. There are all kinds of build their nests. The stork has her home in the cypress. The high mountains are for the wild goats. The rocks are refuge for the rabbits. He made the moon to calculate the festivals. The sun knows of its time of setting. You bring on darkness at night, and all the beasts in the forest creep out. The young lions roar. We're describing how Hashem created this beautiful world with a certain sequence, a certain order. Man goes out to work to his labor until evening. Then all of a sudden he says, how manifold are your works, Hashem? What you did is so beautiful. You have made them all with wisdom. The earth is filled of your possessions. Then he goes on, the sea, vast, wide, and countless creatures, again, continues to describe the world. So one of the little children asked a question. These words, Hashem, how amazing is your creation, that should come all the way at the end. Why is it in the middle? He's describing the greatness of creation, right? Then he goes, wow, it's so amazing. Then he continues to describe it. So why does he say it at the end? So the teacher says, why don't you understand? David HaMelech was describing the greatness of creation, and he couldn't contain himself. So he shouted out, wow, Hashem, what you did is so amazing. Then he went on to continue. Basically, to bring out the idea that we don't just say these words, but that it's full of emotion. And in the sense, like David HaMelech was like bursting with emotion. He couldn't contain himself. He had to say, Hashem, how beautiful is your work. But anyway, look at the top of the page where it's underlined. He makes grass for the cattle and vegetation requiring the labor of man. But the two words, chatzir and asa, both mean grass. So the Zohar said it's talking about different kinds of ways of serving Hashem, different kinds of angels. So everything that's here, there are 3 kinds of grass, dasha, esav, chatzir. There are 3 different kinds of angels. Okay, that's another thing. In davening, this we say every day. Look at the next page. Every day we say in davening, Hashem, you create, on page 47, you create ministering angels, and ministering angels stand in the heights of the universe. So it's like repeating itself. You create Yotzer Misharsim, Hashem Misharsim. Same thing. So the Zohar says, no, these are 2 kinds of angels. There's certain angels that Hashem created at the beginning of the creation, And they exist since then for the last 5,785 years. Minus 1 day or minus a few days, because they were created not the first day of creation. So they're ancient. There's another group of angels that they created every day. Hashem creates the angels, and they're so on fire with their love for Hashem that they become included in their source and they're gone. So that's what the meaning is. Yotzei Misharsim, he creates angels, means he creates them every day. Okay, let me calm down my voice, sorry. Hashem Misharsim means the angels that are there all the time from the beginning of creation. So there's different kinds of angels.
Which one is what?
Yotzei, he creates, are those that he creates every day. And the other one is those that are in existence since the beginning of creation. What? Yeah. So he translates it. It means that they're standing in the height of creation, but they're standing there since the beginning. By the way, it's just interesting. Someone told me that they saw an article where scientists have discovered a number of years ago, you know how every person has a fingerprint? Our fingers look the same, but every finger has a different print. So there are 8 billion people in the world, there are 8 billion different prints. So they discovered that every blade of grass has a different print than the other blade of grass. Not moving up. Now it's beyond, outside of my realm. Yes, mashu b'fnim, just like fingerprints. You see, each finger has something different. Kach, each blade of grass is a little bit different, and then another one. Because Hashem didn't just allow grass. Every blade of grass has a purpose, has a reason why it's here. Even though there are not 8 billion blades of grass, there are 8 gazillion blades of grass in the world. But each one is here for a purpose, has to be here for that purpose. So it has a different identity, a different malach. Yeah.
So like, if you also say each blade of grass has a different source.
Right, a different angel. Just like we know, we say we come from Shul Shabbos night, our angel comes with me. I have my angel, and you have your angel. Everyone has their angel. Each blade of grass has their angel. What's the angel? The angel is the source of the blade of grass.
I'm confused. Okay, I always thought that.
Still confused? You said that last year.
This world, this physical world, I thought there was no source, like in a way, it came, like there's no state of shop force, and then it went to this, and then it went to this world. But it sounds like this, that it.
You're in the right act. This is exactly what the Maimon is going to explain.
Oh.
How does it yesh behind, and yes, it has all these sources. That's exactly what he's going to explain.
Okay.
We're on the way.
Okay.
There's a sign. Another 20 miles to New York. Yeah.
I was about the 7th heaven. So that's not talking about the spiritual world, but even about the money that, you know, like that, heaven, right? They're the same thing, but is that like physical then?
Right. It means it's, but in other words, as far as we're concerned, it means, what does it mean it's in the 7th heaven? It means it's not so revealed down here in our world. By the way, even Begashmis, there's a famous pasuk, Su'u Morim Einechem, lift your eyes to the heavens and to see who created all this, which means when you look up to the heavens and you see the stars, you see the constellations, you see the moon, all this is so fascinating that you see the creation of Hashem more when you look up there than when you look over here. I don't know if you don't remember. When the first astronaut went to outer space, what do you remember? He said, couldn't even be, was this Capital Tillim maybe? He said something from Tillim about, maybe you said this pasuk, lift your eyes to the heavens and see, you know, they say that in Russia, when the astronaut went to heaven, you see, I went up there and I didn't see God. There is no God. So he told them if you would step out, you'd be able to see more clearly. You'll see God. But when you go up there, and especially when you study the moon, the constellations, the sun, the stars, and you see the incredible, unbelievable, inconceivable order of things, how precise everything is, and how it all works with a certain rhythm, you see more clearly the greatness of Hashem. So it means, to a certain extent, Hashem's presence is more revealed there than it is here, and that's what it means in the seventh heaven. It means, of course, Hashem is in this world, but He's more revealed up there. So in the first generation, He's revealed in the seventh heaven, the sixth heaven, the fifth heaven. When we say that it came down here, it means now Hashem is revealed down in this physical world in the most revealed way. So each heaven definitely corresponds to something spiritual, but there are seven heavens. I always had this question: is it spiritual or physical? Until I came across a minor where the Rebbe says clearly it's both physical and spiritual. It's actually a physical space in this world that would be considered up until there's the first heaven, up until there's the second heaven, and so on.
Are they all the seven?
Siya Gashmi.
Gosh, no, there's a seer Gashmi, there's seer.
This is a Siya Gashmi now, physical world.
Seven heavens are in seer Gashmi.
I never really understood, like, when people would say, like, wow, it's so nice to send you a whole for us, and like seeing it in that way. So there was a little 4-year-old I used to work with. He was like super smart. And one time we were talking about bugs, and he was like, oh, there's a bug outside. I'm like, we're in its home. Like, if they're in our home, we can come out, but right now we're in its home. And he was just like, wow, you come in and tell me to be with me. And I was like, that's so cute. Like, the little kid is like seeing this and thinking so long to like.
Kids
understand
come
it.
up with things sometimes.
Yeah, it was really amazing. I was like, wow. Good point to be like.
This will explain another thing. We just learned in Parshas Bereishis, Nasud Shoyim Kavochem Ba'atzmon. It says that when Hashem created the world, the grass reasoned with themselves that they should do something, and they learned it from the trees. They said, "My ilonis," just like the trees. Look at the trees. Ein darkem lotzei b'revuvya. Trees don't grow mixed one with another. Each tree is separate. Nevertheless, the Torah emphasized liminayim. They should be separate. We normally crossbreed, we do mix with each other. That we should be separate. So the question is, what do you mean the grass was saying? How could grass think? How could grass reason? Grass can't reason. So the answer is, no, we're talking about the source of the grass, the angels that are in charge of the grass. They're the ones who have this thought process and this reasoning and so on. So how could grass do this? They belong to the plant kingdom. There's no brain, there's no logic, there's no intelligence. How could they even speak? How could there be intelligence? Not the grass is saying it. Is the spiritual source, which is the mazel, one higher than the other, till we come to the highest angels, and there's one level which is called the level of speech, and they're the ones who sing to Hashem. So just like they sing to Hashem, they can also serve Hashem, and they can also make this comment about the grass, meaning the way angels speak, but it's angels, it's not blade of grass that speaks. By the way, a lot of things that, the story that little children are always told, that Har Sinai said, oh, the Torah won't be given to me because I'm the smallest mountain. How can a mountain talk like that? It means the angel that's in charge of the mountain, not the mountain. When Moshe came to split the sea said, you can't split me. Hashem told me to be a sea. You can't change my shlichus. And Moshe said, no, you have to split. And the question, how can a sea be talking to Moshe Rabbeinu? It's not the sea, it's the angel that's in charge of the sea. And so on. All these places in the Torah, what says that something physical spoke, that's what it means. Got it? Okay, I'm gonna be teaching Mashiach Gula now instead of Mrs. Nemni. So if you don't mind, we'll take a 5-minute break. This time it'll be for me, not for you. And then, guys. Yeah.
דבר שיש פה שהוא איזשהו מהלך שמנהל אותו,
עוד פעם,
כל דבר,
כן,
גם הים,
הכל,
גם שולחן,
כן.
מלאך שמנהל את השולחן.
כן. Okay, let's try that. Thank you.